Hello, hello. Kerry here from Homesteadhow, along with my good friend Shawn from Intentional Carnivore. I always have a smile on my face when I'm talking to my friend Shawn. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you jumping in and having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on. For those of you that are surprised, I changed the title. I changed the title on YouTube and announced that Shawn's joining, and I linked to you in the description as well. But this was kind of a last minute thing. There's Dave. Hey, Dave, how's it going? I'm at the world famous Montello Theater in the basement, and we're playing Spider Man, and I can't watch it anymore. So I was like, "What the heck? Let's do a live stream." I keep getting questions in the comment section, and a
Mhm.
lot of them are sort of these carnivore myths. And I'm sure maybe Shawn, you've heard some of these, and some of them I've answered a couple times.
Mhm.
But some of them are kind of good questions. They're legitimate questions that I had when I was starting carnivore, and I thought it was just a crazy thing to do. So I printed out a little list here of some carnivore myths that I was hoping Shawn would help me bust here. And we'll open it up for Q&A too. If anyone else has comments, of course, questions, please leave them in the chat. Put a little Q next to them, and we'll go from there. So I guess before we jump in, I got to be careful because I always do this. There's always so many new people. I see a lot of familiar names in the chat here, but there's always so many new people here. So maybe I'll just do a quick intro, and then maybe if you don't mind, Shawn, if you could do the same. So where am I now? My name's Kerry. I run Homestead How, and I've been doing carnivore now for 90. I got to check my little app I have here. 93 days. And I've been doing lion diet for 5 days. So 5 days ago, I'm like, let's do this lion diet thing, give it a try. My friend Dante from Frigno Freedom's been having really good success with it for 900 days. Right, Shawn? I'm like, dude's been doing it for 900 days. I'm only at 90. I'm 1/10 of what he's done. I can go a couple days online, and I've been feeling wonderful. But long story short, I've been doing carnivore for 93 days. It's changed everything for me. It's been amazing. Like many of you out there who are new, I thought this carnivore thing was absolutely insane. Uh, yeah, it's going well. My daughter's a vegan that turned carnivore 43 days ago. Emma's 43 days at carnivore now, and she's just thriving and doing very well. My other daughter, Lily, is also doing the same. So that's kind of my quick story. Shawn's story is unbelievable. So,
Yeah. You
yeah.
you talked about me being a legend when I came on, but Dante's a legend, man. Like whenever I come to carnivore, I've been on carnivore a little over a year, about a year and 2 months. I've seen many great benefits, including some incredible weight loss, 245 pounds, reverse type 2 diabetes, non alcoholic fatty liver disease gone, sleep apnea gone, blood pressure down, off blood pressure medicine, depression. Listen, that's the best one by far. I saved the best for last, and I could go on and on because there's so many different things. But listen, when I started carnivore, the only person that I could find on YouTube documenting that journey was Dante Frigno. Okay. So, like, whenever I found, listening to Joe Rogan and Rhonda Patrick, found Dr. Barry, went into Carnivore Quest community, and then I start looking for an example because, I mean, that's what you want to see, right? You want to see who's done it and how it worked for him. And so Dante was the guy that I came to as well. So, the guy's that's a legend for sure, man. So, but yeah, not just the benefits that I've seen, man, that I can attest to, but my story's still being written. I talked to you about that a little bit on the phone recently, and and that's why I got, I guess, a passion for doing this. Started a YouTube channel, obviously Intentional Carnivore. Me and you joined up, and started doing some work. And I mean, I always tell the people that tune in with me, man, the best is yet to come because there's people getting answers, getting help. And that's, where my passion is now, brother. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm get pretty excited and get carried away. So I'll save some for a little bit later. How about that?
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. And anyone who isn't familiar with Shawn yet, you probably are already, but if you're not, I really encourage you to go check out his channel, Intentional Carnivore. You're just killing it over there doing the live streams, and your story is so inspirational. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. As running a movie theater, I love movies, and if we turn just your story into a movie, people would walk out and they'd be like, this is impossible. 245 pounds in 1 year, depression, anxiety, everything. Man, it's amazing. It's unbelievable. I think I told you this before, but when I first met you and I interviewed you, I was like, this guy's got a twin or something. He's pulling something on me here. But
Right. Well, and that's why, dude. I mean, I try to be. I'm big on like just being authentic, being open, just laying it out there. Some people like that, some people don't, but I feel like that's the best way to be with people. And I've had my wife on my show, and it's not always pretty. It's not always, she's always pretty, obviously, but the story isn't always pretty. So we got into some pretty legit stuff, man. But I mean, the thing is, what I've found over the last year and a half is it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to look good. It works. And there's so many hurting people out there that was where I am, or excuse me, that are where I was. How do I say it?
Yeah, no, you're exactly. They are where you were at one time, hopeless.
Yeah, hopeless, man. And I'm reminded of that even more this week with tragedy in my own family, my extended family, man. And you never know where people are at and what people are dealing with, man. And if there's anything that I could say or do or whatever to be able to reach out to that one person that's watching, that's laying on the couch like I was a year and a half ago, lost hope, has no direction, no future, don't see a way out, has tried everything, man, I'll do it, say it, whatever it takes, man. So
likewise, yeah, I think we share that same thing. I think you're a legend and Dante's a legend and everyone loves you guys so much is your honesty. You're putting the truth out there. And there's so many, I did that video yesterday. There's so many lies out there that we've been told over and over again, and propaganda and things that are leading us to junk food and sugar and addiction and garbage. And it's nice to hear just the straight up truth. Like you said, sometimes it's not all pretty, but it's the truth, and that's what's most important. Yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting with you some more on this. Let's see, we got some questions here. Well, so I've been having so many comments, and Shawn and I were talking earlier. It's been so inspirational. I was going to do my 130-day carnivore video, and that was going to be it. But man, these comments, it's like you were saying, Shawn, there's people that are hopeless. And I got people telling me, hey, I watched your 30-day video, which was 64. I can't believe that 64 days ago I did that 30-day video. I was going to be the only one, but I've had so many people say, I started when I saw your 30-day video. I get this comment over and over again. And sometimes it brings a tear to your eyes. It's just amazing some of these stories these people are saying. And I'm like, I appreciate that they're accrediting it to me, but it's like, no, you did this. We're just putting the example out there. You're the one that has to take the reins and be the captain of your own ship and decide to do it yourself. But it is just so, there's nothing better in the world when you hear those stories that someone's life has been completely changed. They were suffering from depression, anxiety. They couldn't sleep. And now they're finally getting a full night's sleep and they're feeling like they're a proper human again. And they didn't even remember what it felt like to be a proper human before, and they're feeling it again. So yeah, I'm gonna just keep doing these. I love the comments. The carnivore community is just amazing too. It's just so much energy and positivity and supporting each other. Yeah. The only bad comments I get, I hate to hate on them, but are usually the vegan comments. But I feel for the vegans too, because I think their heart's in the right place, but they're not looking at the facts. But
well, I mean, don't get distracted. I want to go back. I want to push rewind for a second, because I understand exactly what you're saying, because I feel the same way too. You don't want to take credit for, being able to speak into somebody's life, man, but people will resonate with you, and you have that heart too. I see it. I've told you the first time I met you, I could see that through your daughter, man, because your daughter, just the whole compassion idea, and the reason why she wants to be a vegan, or at that time wanted to be a vegan. I understand that, man, and I don't try to hate on anybody for trying to be a better person and do the right thing, to themselves. I think that there can be arguments made about whether it is or not. However, the whole premise behind it is trying to just be a good person, man, and try to do better for everybody and herself. And I see that in her because of you, man. I mean, that's your legacy. And so that tells me a lot about your heart. So people resonate with you, man. They resonate with your message. They resonate with you putting those videos out. You never know the difference that your willingness to speak out, um, and reach somebody that maybe I can't reach or somebody else can't reach. So definitely don't discount that, man, because you got a huge reach and you got a great message, man, and you've experienced it as well. So I get what you're saying. I get what you know with the whole, you don't want to take credit, man, but at the same time, you're doing a great thing, and there's the best is yet to come. There's a lot, the stuff that's coming down the road is going to be even better. So, you know, definitely hold your head high with that regard as well, because I feel the same way all the time, man. So I just want to
Yeah.
real quick.
Right. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, the best is yet to come. I'm so excited too. Well, we can talk about it later, but the carnivore diet movie, making some really good progress on that. If anyone wants to learn more, there's the website is carnivoredietmovie.com. I think I got it. Here we go. It's at the bottom of the screen right now for a little bit. Making some good progress. Really exciting there. I'm hoping we can reach a lot more people than just folks on YouTube if we can get this out on one of the big streaming networks. But still a long way to go, but making some really good progress. But what do you say? Should we jump into some of these myths? These
Yeah,
are
let's do it.
you've probably heard some of these, Shawn, maybe not. And some of these are really good questions. I got to always be careful because some of them I hear over and over and over again. But there's so many people that are coming to your channel and my channel that are brand new. And I had many of these questions when I first started. Now I've heard them so many times. I'm like, yeah, just go watch Dr. Barry's video about this or something like that. But so here's the one. This is probably the most prevalent comment I get. I would love to start carnivore diet, but it's just way too expensive. There's no way I could afford to eat steak all the time. What do you think about that one, Shawn?
I'll be honest with you. It all depends on you. And the reason why I say that is if you're gonna just do carnivore, like for me personally, I eat steak, ribeye every single day for the last 9 months. It costs me about roughly 14 to $17 a day to eat what I eat. Now that includes ribeye steak every day, about a half stick or a little less of butter a day, and about anywhere between 6 and 8 eggs every day. And I can't eat any more because I'm absolutely full. Not because I'm trying to fast or anything like that. So, 15 to 17, $18 a day. Even we'll just round it up to be on the safe side and say $20 a day. Now, I don't know how many folks have been to your fast food restaurants or out to out to get something to eat. But even if you just look at a bag of chips, you're looking at $5 or $6, and how many bags of chips can you go through? Plus you got to eat 3 times a day. The carbs are burning up like crazy. So you got to resupply that. There's absolutely no way that you can eat for $15 to $17 a day eating the standard American diet. So that being said, if you're adding a lot of stuff on top of the meat and the carnivore diet, then yeah, it's going to cost you a whole lot more. However, if you stick to the meat, the proteins, and the fats, I mean, you could eat pretty daggone good for fairly cheap considering. It's hard to overeat fat and protein.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it, man. I don't buy into it. Honestly,
Yep.
it's a big myth.
You're right at about the same amount of meat. I'm thinking about maybe $15 to $20 a day, and I'm eating good. And yeah, you're right on, Shawn. And this is the other thing I tell people. And again, there's new people. I thought the same way to being like, I could never afford to do that. But it's a different mindset when you're on carnivore. You're not eating all those meals you were before. That's one thing. The other thing is, I think so many people, they just don't do the proper math and they really don't think about it. So I've said this before, but here's an example. Like before I was eating carnivore, let's say when I was eating really bad, I would have breakfast, most important meal of the day. I don't want to get into that one. I'd have breakfast and then I'd have a crash 2 hours later. And then I'd be having like some granola bar or some processed garbage to help me with that crash because the sugar's going up and down. Then you'd have lunch. Then you'd have a little afternoon snack, maybe some fruit. Then you'd have dinner. Maybe you go get Starbucks a couple times a week. Like Shawn was saying, that stuff's not cheap. That adds up, but people aren't accounting for that either. And maybe you go have you go out to dinner twice a week. Maybe you go home and you have a couple beers beer, wine, whatever. Every now and then you go out to eat too. Maybe you go out to eat once a week, twice a week, or maybe you don't. But if you add all of those things up, all those things I just listed, by the way, I don't do any of those. I don't do any of those. It's one $15 steak and that's it. Well, sometimes there's eggs and some other things in there, but $15 to $20 a day. I swear I gotta be at least half of what my budget was before. And the thing too is that people don't account for, if I'm spending $20 a day, right? There's almost no waste in that $20 I'm spending.
Oh.
Before, however, there was a lot of waste because I had so many different things. Oh, what are you gonna have? You gotta have something for breakfast, something for lunch, something for dinner. You got some leftovers. Oh, those leftovers are old. We're gonna throw those out. I'd eat so much salad before on Carnivore, and it would always happen. Like, I'm gonna eat this whole thing. I don't want to waste anything, right? You'd always end up throwing up some brown lettuce. It starts getting slimy after a while or whatever, and you toss it. There's no waste. Even the bones from the steaks, we end up saving and using for bone broth. So there's no waste. And if you count the waste in, let's just say 30% of your food you waste, well, you got to add that into your cost then. I'm not adding that into my cost on my steak because I'm eating the whole thing and we're even using the bone up. Someone else had a good comment here too.
Well, and you're also not adding in the fact that, like, I'm off one of my blood pressure medicines, getting ready to come off the other two. I'm not taking medication for the type 2 diabetes. I'm off colchicine and allopurinol for gout. I don't have to buy supplies for the sleep apnea machine anymore. I can go out to my go out with my kids, my wife, whatever, go somewhere, have a seat, whatever, go out doing things. There's so many different things, man, that you just don't add in. I used to drink 6 Tall Boy Monster energy drinks trying to find some energy. Right. You're looking at $4 a piece for those things at 6. I mean, you do the math, man. So there's so much more. And plus, being rid of the problems and issues that you get rid of, that's priceless. You can't even put a price tag on that.
If I put all the price tags on all my copays, and so I'm self-employed, so my insurance was just through the roof. And last year we upped our insurance. So my insurance, I was paying, I think it was $1,500 a month. And I was like, I got to do it. I have so many health issues before I started Carnivore. I haven't been to the doctor in 95 days. And that was just the huge price of insurance alone, let alone all the times I was still going in there. They're giving me copay after copay. And exactly like you said, Shawn, I was on a lot of the same meds you were. I was on the stuff for the gout. It turned out it wasn't gout, but I was on, and I had to pay for all of that medication. I'm not paying for any of it. The other thing too, man, we could just go on this topic the whole time. The other thing too that people don't account for, but this is so true, and I know you're seeing it, Shawn, is I have so much more free time now that I'm not messing around with all of that. What are we going to eat? What's for lunch? Rummaging through the cabinet. Where are we going to go for dinner tonight? Today, we talked earlier on the phone. I had a steak. I cooked it. I ate it. I think I was like 30 minutes for the whole process. I am done. Like, that was all I'm eating all day until tomorrow. That's a lot of time that's wasted figuring out what you're going to eat and thinking about what you're going to eat and running back and forth to the grocery store and to the restaurants and out to eat. The other thing too, every now and then we'll go out to eat, but I'd rather just make a steak at home. So the time wasted going out to eat too, and then the expense of that. Yeah, there's so many hidden factors in there that people don't really account for. And the biggest thing, I guess, maybe we didn't mention, or maybe we did, but you get full so much quicker. Like, that's the thing that people aren't coming into it with the mindset of. They're thinking of all of the food they're eating on the standard American diet right now. You can wipe all of that out. You don't need all of that food. You eat one big ribeye, maybe 2, or maybe some burger patties and a ribeye one day, and you're going to be full and you're going to be set, and you're not going to have those cravings anymore.
100%.
I think a lot of people do that math where they're like, here's my grocery bill. Here's all the stuff I eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, out to eat. Now they just translate that to steak. And yeah, that would seem crazy and unimaginable, but that's apples to oranges. You eat way less. And all of that being said, you eat way less, you're full, but you're eating food that's 100 times better than what you were eating before.
Yeah. It's right? The proper human diet, man. I mean, the nutrients alone. Like, now, don't get me wrong. Now, I do have to mention, Dr. Berry always talks about eat what you can afford. So I know there's a lot of people out there that's struggling to get by. You know, I don't have a lot of cash to sink into it either. That's why I got to stay honest with what I'm eating. You know, I
Right.
can't afford to eat the standard American diet over carnivore once I started eating this way. But you don't have to buy ribeye steaks or the fillets or, you know, whatever. You can literally find stuff. You can have the chicken. Now, it may not give you the nutrient quality that you might get out of a ruminant animal, but you can do it off chicken. You can do it off of, you know, some of this other. I mean, I've heard him say, eat bologna if you have to. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, you do what works. Eating bologna or whatever you can afford as far as meat, you know, put it together, and you know you're going to be a lot better off than eating all the toxic garbage that's just feeding sickness and, you know, everything into your life, you know. So
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't have to be ribeye steaks. It can be all kinds of things, man, and it's
Yep.
definitely affordable. So that's 100% a myth. But
Yep.
I do want to mention before we go any further, though, you guys hit that like button, push the video out, get people in here. They may need to hear this stuff, you know. There's so many people in the chat, you know, Italian going carnivore, and you know, so many people over there in the chat. I've been noticing. I was going to shout out to you real quick. Love you guys. I'm glad y'all made it tonight, and we appreciate y'all. But hit that like button and push it out for Kerry and myself. Maybe we can reach that person that needs to hear it the most.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Dr. Barry put a video out today. I just caught it before coming over to the theater, and it was on that very topic. Exactly what you said, Shawn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about processed meats and bologna and everything, and he's like, "It's 100 times better than what you would have been eating otherwise. Eat
Mm.
what you can afford," was his advice. I'm like, every time he does a video, I'm like, "Yeah, man, this guy just makes so much sense." And then at the end, it's like, that's just common sense, but yeah, it makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, good stuff. So that was one of them. It's too expensive. One last thing on that. The other thing, beef, butter, bacon, eggs. We talk about that all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
that's lower price stuff, and that is delicious. Emma and I did that video where we did our BBBE bowl. We made up ground beef with a little bit of butter on it to crisp it up,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just had eggs and bacon. And you could even skip the bacon. And I don't really like ground beef just by itself, but in that mixture, it's delicious, it's nutritious, it's inexpensive. And Emma and I, that has been our go-to over the last 50 or so days she's been on carnivore. We have that one quite often. Very inexpensive, and it definitely fills you up.
Well,
All
it's
right.
you
Yep.
can make an egg over easy, man. Like I don't like just eating ground beef, putting it in a bowl and just scooping it out with no, you know, sauce, no spice, no nothing. Do you an egg over easy, man? Leave that yolk in the middle, a little runny. Put your ground beef in a bowl, put that egg over the top, and break that thing right on top of the beef, man. It's like, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
come on now.
Every time I do something like that, my body, my brain is just like, you finally figured it out after 42 years. This is what I wanted the whole time. All that other junk you've been putting in me. I joke about it, but it really does feel like that sometimes. I get an
Mhm.
energy boost afterwards. I'm like, this is just what I needed. I feel great afterwards. I was missing that fat and cholesterol in my diet for sure before.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one we got. I get this one a lot as well. Every day I get this comment over and over again. I'm not going to do carnivore because you're not going to get fiber. You're not going to have proper digestion. You're going to have problems with the old number 2. What do you think on that one, Shawn?
Oh man, I've heard that too. Between that and the ones that just can't get the whole constipation thing. See, here's the thing. You know, personally, here's where I'm at with that. If you use the material that you putting in for what it's intended for to run our bodies, the fuel for the system to run it, then you're not going to be eliminating a lot of stuff, right? So that's why you're not going to the bathroom as much. There are some workarounds, and there are some people. My wife, for example, came to carnivore because she had issues, you know, bowel issues, and she always has. But she can even get on and testify that, you know, it has completely changed the whole process for her, you know. And where she used to have issues, she doesn't have those issues anymore. Fiber, man, your body can't do anything with fiber. Everybody, you know, believes that fiber is going to be the thing that makes you go. Your body's trying to reject that stuff. That's why people thinks it works. So, man, eat the carnivore diet. If you having trouble going to the bathroom after a little while, check your fat and your magnesium levels. Those two things. If you add enough fat, even now after a year and 2 months, man, if I have an issue and think I need to go to the bathroom, go spend some time in the restroom. If I add enough butter to what I'm eating or enough ghee or animal fat to it, I can assure you I know it because I'm gonna be right on in there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You?
Same thing. I always tell people too, like, I don't know. I don't have any pride anymore. It gets weird talking about going to the bathroom and stuff, but it's just a medical thing, so I don't really care. But I I go way less than I did before. And then
Mhm.
people are like, they think, oh, that's because you're constipated. It's not. It's just exactly like Shawn just described. You put a bunch of waste in, like I was before on the standard American diet. I was going all the time because my body's like, what the heck is all this junk in here? And it's processing it through. I go less now because I'm giving my body the exact fuel that it needs. But it's not constipation. I'm not in any discomfort or pain. It's nice. It's one of those, now that I think about it, it's kind of like not having to worry about cooking. It's like I don't have to go to the bathroom so many times anymore now. It's less frequent, but it's just fine. It's not uncomfortable. It's not anything like that. So yeah, lots of myths around fiber. It's really funny when you think about it because it's like you said, your body doesn't even use any of that, but everyone is so convinced you got to have fiber, you got to have it. It's like, well,
Mhm.
94 days in, I haven't had any. I'm perfectly fine.
That's right, 100%. And I mean, it's important, man. Amber and Dan's carnivore life said you only need fiber to help you poop out the junk food, and that's about the size of it.
Yeah.
All you need is that fiber to just push the rest out. So I'm with them. I'm with you on that.
Yep. Okay, so I've got some more of these. Maybe we'll jump back and forth between these and some questions because I always fall behind on here. We got some good questions
Oh
here
yeah.
from Mama Bear. Do you think it's possible to eat too much meat? I still think I eat past the point of satiation, but some people say it's impossible to eat more than you need.
Hmm.
What do you think, Shawn? I'll throw it over to you first.
Honestly, I think you might be able to initially because your hunger signals are tore down, they're not working properly, your leptin and your ghrelin, but eventually, it's going to be hard to overeat protein and fat for any amount of time because your body's going to start having food aversions. A lot of people think they can't stomach to see that food anymore. So yeah, I think you might be able initially to do that, overeat it, but eventually it's going to get to the point where just looking at meat makes you sick because your body's going to start communicating with you, for lack of a better term, to be able to explain it. Um, your body is going to say, I have times where I want more fat and I'll eat it more fat. Or sometimes I'll like, well, I want a whole nother steak and I'll eat another steak. So, I mean, you just got to learn to listen to your body, but your body's got to be working properly and working towards it to do that. But, you know, you'll know whenever everything starts working more properly, I guess you would say. So I mean that's kind of where I'm at with it. And that's what I've always stuck to. That's kind of what I've heard Dr. Barry mention sometimes. And I mean, what about you? Could you tell a difference in the way that you felt hungry after a certain amount of time? Like the way, like used to before you'd get hungry and you would just be hangry. You would be like almost in a rage. But now, how is that different for you, even Kerry?
Yeah, it's way different. I used to have those intense cravings, like no matter what, I had to eat something. It's much that's kind of gone on carnivore. I mean, I still get hungry because I just really enjoy eating steak and meat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't think it's possible to. Well, I really like how you put it, Shawn. You got to listen to your body. I think that's the best advice. I've been doing that more and more on all fronts. Like, how much am I going to eat steak wise? How much salt am I going to put on? Like, I've totally adjusted things way different than I was pre carnivore. It's just like my body's telling me, dude, you need some more salt right now. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody would probably take a bite of my steak with the salt on it that's not doing carnivore. I'd be like, oh my goodness, that's way too much salt, or that's a crazy amount. But it's different. It's like my body needs it, so I just listen to it. I know Dr. Barry, I always reference back to him. He always says, eat till you're comfortably full. I think that's great advice. And um, listen to your body is also very good advice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, here's another question we've got. Let's see here. Okay. The carnivore diet, I'm not going to do the carnivore diet because it's going to raise my cholesterol to dangerous levels.
I mean, cholesterol, it may raise your cholesterol. I've heard Dr. Berry talk many times about being hyper responders and things like that. But listen, my cholesterol went up, but my triglycerides went down. So, I mean, the scientific and health community has manipulated the studies and the data for so long, has pushed this idea that cholesterol is extremely dangerous, to be able to push their statins on people. And I mean, that's a decision that everybody's got to make on their own. But I mean, even talking with Bart K a couple weeks ago, doing the video this on the channel, he says statins create, just one statistic that he gave, and he's more than qualified to do that because with his resume. But he says you have 11,500% higher chance of developing ALS taking statins. He's like, it's contraindicated for everyone. It is dangerous. And so you take that for what you will. But listen, I'm not worried about my cholesterol. Plus, I do know for a fact that cholesterol is one of the things that leads to making up every bit of our hormones. It has so many functions in the body. And I truly believe, and this is just my opinion, so let me preface it before I go into it. My opinion, I believe a lot of the mental health issues and a lot of the problems that we see in our society today is linked to the fact that we don't get the cholesterol that we need. We're not getting the proper human diet that we need. We're not getting the nutrition. And I believe that has a lot to do with the healthcare community and the standards that we go by. We trust people to tell us what's real and what's true. And a lot of times they're not doing that because they make money off of telling us what they are telling us. So that's my opinion. You can write it down, mark it, and we'll go from there. How you feel about it though, brother? The cholesterol thing. How's yours doing?
So I haven't tested mine yet. I was ready to go test it, and I am going to test it, and I'm gonna do a video about it. But I started going down a rabbit hole. My mom's been doing carnivore with me, and she went and got it tested, and some of her numbers were a little scary. However, I then learned from some pretty smart doctors online. They basically suggest if you're doing carnivore, you need to give it at least 6 months before testing to get an accurate test. I gotta find it. I'll leave a link to it. So one guy was even saying like you could test it like on month 2 on carnivore, and then you could go the next day and the next day and the next day and get 3 drastically different results because your body is still adapting and your hormones are still changing and your weight's still fluctuating and you're not in that homeostasis. So I'm going to wait till 6 months to do mine and see. But again, I'm not a doctor either. So just like Shawn's little disclosure there, but I totally believe what you say. And Shawn, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned this to me because I had said one of the best things that's been happening to me on carnivore is my sleep has been improved. And I thought that was helping with my depression, but you pointed out, and I've since done more research, just keep going down. There's so much information online. I think I watched a couple of Dr. Kilt's videos. But I truly believe you're right on with that one, that I think, Dr. Berry did this video about magnesium deficiency. And this is kind of a side note, but it was really interesting to me. It was something like 65% of people, it was in the 60s, are deficient in magnesium. And it used to be in the water and it used to be in the food. And so I've actually been taking magnesium since I watched that video and it seems to help me. That's a side story. I almost believe that cholesterol, we're probably in the same boat as that. It's been demonized so much for so long, myself included. I have a irregular heartbeat and heart condition. So like prior to carnivore too, I was like, oh man, I gotta be careful with that cholesterol stuff. And then you look around and you're like, how many men are out there getting like testosterone replacement therapy? And then there's lots of issues. I touched on this a little bit earlier. It's kind of a weird topic, but I met with Anita from Ketogenic Woman. I think she's 65. She's got an awesome YouTube channel. She does a lot of cooking videos on carnivore. But one of the things she was telling me was, she was just straight up honest, which I love talking to people like that. She was like, this is a weird subject, but I don't care. I'm going to help people if I talk about it. And she said that going through menopause, she didn't have all of those crazy symptoms that all of her peers and counterparts had. They're all taking all this medication because they're having all these horrible symptoms, and she
Mhm.
didn't. And I think she was attributing that to having more cholesterol and fat in her diet that nobody else is having because it's been demonized. There's
Mhm.
also a big issue with girls, young girls getting their periods earlier and earlier. And I was reading this article. I mentioned it in my video the other day. So I have 4 daughters. Um, it was from the Wall Street Journal or something. It was like, we don't know why these young girls are all getting their periods at like age 8 or 9 or 10 or at these younger ages. And that was the headline. It was like, we don't know. And I'm like, I think I know. I think it's because they're not getting cholesterol. And it's just like you said, Shawn, you don't get cholesterol, your hormones go completely out of whack. And then you have all of these downstream issues like depression, anxiety. It messes with your sleep. It messes with absolutely everything. I wish there was some more research into that so we could have like the magnesium example I gave earlier, 65%. Wouldn't it be awesome to know how many people are deficient in that? Because I mean, that's been one of the big changes on carnivore. I'm getting way more cholesterol. I'm eating fatty meat and I'm eating stuff that I was told not to eat. And I feel the opposite of everything they told me. I feel a million times better now. So
Oh yeah, I absolutely wish the scientific and healthcare community would get honest with the world. I wish they would stop pushing all this junk that they push on the people and do some real studying and some real truth reporting, and stop with all the junk they try to push out on people that is clearly and evidently false based on the testimony of thousands of people. And that's why I urge everybody always, if you've experienced something, put it in the comments, say it in the replies below, give your testimony. Tell people what's worked for you and what hasn't, because eventually it's going to overwhelm the system and they're not going to be able to push that lie anymore. They're not going to be able to deceive people with the statins, with the cholesterol issue, with the, well, as over time we evolve, and then start having, girls are going to start having their periods whenever they're 6 years old. No, that's not how it works, man. There's a reason for it, and the truth has got to come out, just like with so many issues. I caught a little bit of slack over my cancer video that I made, but the truth is, look at Dr. Chafee and some of the work that him and Dr. Seafried and all the they're doing with cancer research and trying to get into practice. Cancer feeds off of glucose. It feeds off the sugar. Why in the world is that not shouted from the rooftops? It's not new information. Type 2 diabetes can be reversed. Why is the American Diabetes Association not got that plastered all over the front of their website and pushing it on anybody who has type 2 diabetes, recommending those things? Because they don't want the truth, and the
right,
truth will come out eventually.
right, yeah,
Sorry,
and
I get
why?
fired up, dude. That fires me up.
Right. Me too. Because here's the other thing. Why are cancers all going through the roof, just like diabetes and obesity and depression, anxiety, and all these issues, especially when you consider and really think about all the money that's gone into cancer research over the years? Like, shouldn't we be getting better? Cancer aside, on all these other things too, shouldn't we get better on this and that and diabetes and heart disease and all these things? And they're all just, you look at the sugar and junk food consumption and then you look at the rates of those issues and they just follow the same thing. They're all just skyrocketing together. It just doesn't, well, it makes sense. It makes sense now that I know, but it just,
Mhm.
yeah, it's very frustrating.
Oh, absolutely.
All
It
right,
is.
here we got a question from Aunt Bling's Grateful Life. I love a lot of these names on here. These are always entertaining.
I do
Did
too.
either of you struggle with eating at home versus going out all the time to restaurants? I still struggle since I'm not a big cook, but I'm getting better.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So, a little bit. I went out to eat way too much prior to this. I have gone out to eat a couple times. You guys might have seen the video I did with my daughter Emma, who is a vegan. She turned carnivore, and as a reward, we did this. I don't know, not once in a lifetime, but very rare. I took her to a very expensive steak restaurant because I'm like, this poor kid, she's been eating cauliflower every night. She hasn't had a good meal or steak. Plus, I just thought, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm like, this will just be a cool, entertaining YouTube video to share too. And
Mhm.
a lot of my motivation for YouTube is, well, this is going to be cool. A lot of people are going to watch it. that's good because then I'm doing something right. But also, it's fun capturing these memories with my children as they're getting older and older. I was saying that to Carnivore Kip yesterday when we were talking. I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't quit YouTube because, uh, God willing, if I live to be an old man, I'll be able to look back at 90 years old, all lonely. I can pull up the YouTube videos or something and see these memories of fun times with my kids. But
Yeah.
uh,
Praise the Lord.
I Emma and I actually went out to a steak place about a week ago, and Dr. Barry, everyone, they're like, you gotta be very diligent if you do that. And I basically told them, and I don't even know, I try to always be honest. I don't even think this is a lie, but I'm like, I'm allergic to oil because I know if they put oil or anything weird on that steak, it's gonna mess me up. How is that different from an allergy? I'll probably literally have a breakout, like a skin rash or something. Like it's gonna really mess me up. I had so many problems before that. So I told them all of that. I got a steak and Emma got a little steak as well. And we actually got a little lunch burger too. We split that, but we ate it. And as soon as I bit into it, I was like, man, they did something. There's something on there. And it was one of the first times in 95 days on Carnivore that I got a really bad stomach ache and just didn't. It was the first time I didn't feel good. I felt amazing every other day. First time I didn't feel good. And I'm like, they had something in there. They added something to the steak or some spices or something. But long-winded story short, I'm not interested in going out to eat anymore. I've also learned this, and Emma said it in the video. When we went out for that very expensive steak, that thing was like $80. I can make a steak way better than that. And Emma's always honest. If I made a bad steak, she'd be like, your steak sucked, Dad. We're gonna go to that place. She was like, I would rather have your steak. We've been doing this reverse sear thing. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. I got this big, thick ribeye, reverse sear, and then on a cast iron skillet. But I can make it better at home. So it was a little hard at first because I was so used to going out to eat all of the time. But I'm so thankful I don't have to do that anymore. It's way cheaper. It was such a time suck because I live out in the woods. So when I want to go out to eat, it's like a 45-minute hour drive just to get anywhere and then another hour back. And then all of the money that was wasted. And like I said, even now, like an $80 steak, man, I said to Emma, I'm like, we can make 4 of those reverse seared, extra thick ribeyes. Those are like $20 a piece. That's expensive, but that steak is like this thick. And it's one of the best things I've ever eaten. And it'll fill me up for 24 hours. I'm like, Emma, it's funny because I give Emma a hard time. She's just like, yeah, Dad, you should just do that. I'm like, yeah, Emma, but you are missing one key detail. You're just sitting there and then I bring you a beautiful, delicious steak. Well, I have to cook it and do everything. I'm like, you got to start learning how to cook some of these steaks up.
Well, I mean, and that's what I do too, man. I'll do 4 or 5, 4 or 5 steaks at a time, and then just have a couple of days worth of food. So yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. I didn't just struggle with going out to eat. I struggled with when I first started, my family, nobody in the house ate carnivore or keto or anything. They were all eating standard American diet. So it wasn't just going out to eat that was a problem. It was staying inside the house whenever they were eating 3 times, 4 times a day, whatever. So I would go sit on the front porch. Thing I'm playing, I meant business when when I finally got my head wrapped around what was getting ready to happen, and I finally was like, this is actually working, and I'm about to work it. And like that was my mindset, and I was just like hyper focused on like, come heck or high water, we about to make this thing happen. And like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not stumping the process. I'm staying right here, you know. And so yeah, I would sit on the front porch whenever, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I would smell it, and there would be plenty of times I'd be like, man, that smells good. And I'm like, if I the closest thing I can apply it to is in the Bible where it says resist the devil and he'll flee from you. That's what I applied it to in my mind. And it was like, resist that and it's going to go away. So I would go outside, man. I would sit on the front porch. I'd go for a walk, whatever it took. I was willing to get away from it. So I try to tell people that now, man, if you know you better than anybody else knows you, your mind knows how to trick you. If you're going to fall off, be tempted, or struggle with going out to eat, don't go out to eat. It's that simple. I mean, I know it sounds, harsh to say it like that, but like when you get a hold of that success and you see the goal and you set the plan, don't let it go. Don't violate your own boundaries. Set them and don't let them go, So I would remove myself from people's houses. I would remove myself from situations just because I know that I know me. And if I stay there or I go to that one place, I might partake or be tempted. And I don't want to do that. So I'm all about, setting yourself up for success.
Right. Oh, this is awesome. Carnivore Kip.
Yeah.
Challenged myself to a 50-ounce steak for hitting 5K today. Awesome, man. Congratulations.
Good job, brother. Proud of
That,
you, man.
that's a cool idea for a video, too. A little 50-ounce steak challenge. I'll be all over that. Yeah, if you guys are Carnivore, Kip and I did a live stream together, and he's got a great YouTube channel, too. Check him out. Congratulations on 5K. That's awesome.
You send one over here, I'll eat one with you.
Right? Yeah, we'll do a 3 live stream.
Yeah, there you
150 ounces worth of steak. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I was saying, I don't know if you've seen this, Shawn. I mentioned this to Kip. That movie, I'm always making the movie references, but The Great Outdoors. Have you seen that one with John Candy? It's an older one, but
Oh man, I was thinking Uncle Buck last
oh
night.
yeah, that's another good one with John Candy.
Uncle Buck, yeah. I don't. I probably have seen The Great Outdoors, man, but I can't remember.
I'll tell you what. The next YouTube, this is my YouTube thing now. Is I keep pulling in clips. I got to pull in a clip from that movie. It was with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah,
And just
okay.
there's a scene in it where they go to a restaurant and it's like a steak challenge. Like if you eat this huge steak, you get it for free. Yeah, it was funny, man. It was a good one. I was mentioning that to Carnivore Kip. I'm like, yeah, you got to do a YouTube video of that style. That'd be fun.
He was all sweating and like he was giving it a hard time, man.
He got to the end and it was just a bunch of like grizzle and bone and stuff left. And they're like, you ain't done yet. You got to eat all of that. That was pretty funny.
Right? It's funny when you start craving that stuff once you get on carnivore. You be gnawing on the bone.
Exactly. Yeah. That's another thing people don't realize. Me too, because when I started carnivore, I used to hate the texture, like that rubbery fat sort of taste. Now I'm looking for it. I'm craving it. I mean, there's sometimes you get a big bite and it's too much, but it's like, again, listen to your body. My body's telling me you need more of that. And one good thing I've been doing too is if I get a little bit too much on a steak or a ribeye or something, I'll throw it in the air fryer for a little bit. Oh, that is so good. Change the texture a little bit.
Everybody in the chat probably talking junk. I'll tell you this right now. I've been trying to keep up with it a little bit, but I haven't. It's going by so fast. There's so many. Don't act like y'all don't lick the plate too. Am I the only one? Like if you got that butter and salt melting off a little bit of that steak juice down in the plate and you get done, like I promise you, dude, my neighbors probably think I'm crazy because I'll be out there eating, sitting on the porch or whatever. I get done, I'll lick the plate like a puppy. I don't even care. I don't care if the neighbor's looking, who's looking. My wife's like laughing at me. I'm like, what? Don't hate. You can have some of this butter if you want to.
You know what you're licking on there too? This is what me and Emma call it. That's the carnivore sauce. So we'll do the reverse sear, and then I'll put ghee in the cast iron skillet. When I start the steak, I'll put the fat side down, like render that steak, that beef fat in there, and then I'll add some butter at the end. And that little mixture you're talking about, that I said to Emma, I'm like, man, if we could just somehow package this up and sell it, we would be set. That's the best. It's so good it's like everything you need too. And that definitely makes a steak takes it to the next level.
Somebody else was asking about sauces or something that you can use why not? There's perfect sauces. If you need a sauce to dip your stuff in, use the runny eggs, use the butter and the stuff that comes off the steak, use the bacon grease, use the tallow, use the ghee, use all that stuff, man. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, sometimes, if you're not paying attention, you let the steak go, it gets a little too done, which by too done, I mean, anything past medium is too done, So you dip it down in there and slop it up. You got you a perfect sauce.
Yep. Our friend Carnivore Ron is on here.
Yeah, Carnivore Ron.
Thank you, Carnivore Ron. You're always leaving great comments. I remember Carnivore Ron telling me, I think you were saying, maybe leave a comment if you could, Ron. He was saying when he cooks a steak in the air fryer, you got that little thing on the bottom of the air fryer to catch all the juices. And he's like, that's my condiment. That's my sauce on the end. I'm like, yeah, that's
Carnivore Ron. I guarantee you he's probably mad at me right now. I love you, brother. I appreciate the time you spent with me. You did an interview with Carnivore Ron on your show,
Yep.
And really, I was watching that. I just stumbled across it whenever me and you first met. And so I talked to him because I got a plan. So I did an interview with him. I have the video. I've been editing it and been so crazy trying to get everything together. And the last couple of weeks, I just been absolutely pulled in every direction. And dude, I am getting that video out. I can assure you it will be coming out. I haven't forgot about you. I love you. Everybody go check out Carnivore Ron.
I was gonna say, in the meantime,
Yeah.
Carnivore Ron started his own YouTube channel. He's putting out some really good content. And he was just telling me yesterday or the day before that he's actually being interviewed on the news, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Carnivore Ron, I, I
I
think you
got,
said you're 72 years old, doing carnivore for 5 years now.
yeah, man,
Just running circles around his peers at the gym, just killing it. And really, really good YouTube channel too. So go check him out, Carnivore Ron.
and look for the video because it will be coming out as soon as I can get it done and get my end of the deal out there. So
Everyone go to Shawn's channel and leave him some comments. Where's that Carnivore Ron video you told us about?
that one in the egg video. Those are the two that I have on the top of my list to get done that people have been asking about.
That's another incentive. You got to go subscribe to Intentional Carnivore. Make sure you don't miss the Carnivore Ron video because I know it's going to be a good one. Here's a question from John G. He's always leaving great questions too. Don't you think that feeling so much better and healthier eating this way outweighs a single marker like LDL or total cholesterol?
100%.
100%. I agree. And this took me a while to realize that too, because so I recently, it'll be in a future video I'm working on, but you guys have probably all heard of heart surgeon Dr. Philip Ovadia. He wrote a book called Stay Off My Operating Table. And I think he's lost 100 pounds on carnivore. And he's been doing a lot of interviews lately. And he was getting into some of the studies, and he was getting into this question in particular. And one of the things that he said that I found so interesting was that if you have poor metabolic health, like you're eating a lot of sugar and carbs and junk food, and you're almost pre-diabetic, you're 6 times more likely to have heart disease. If you have poor LDL, bad cholesterol numbers, you're 1.4 times more likely to have heart disease. Everybody talks about the LDL, and Dr. Ovadia, heart surgeon, done thousands of surgeries, done carnivore himself. He's saying, he's shouting, he's basically saying your metabolic health is so important, and nobody worries about that. Even me, like on carnivore now, I've had so many people, they're like, oh man, you look great. You lost a bunch of weight. What are you doing? I tell them, then they're like, I want to see your LDL number. I've had that conversation like 10 times now. They're like, it's not going to be good, man. You're killing yourself. You're dying. And then it's like, even if that were true, I did another video on this before, but I'm like, if I lost 10 years of my life because of this in a heartbeat, I'm still doing it. I'm sleeping. The depression's gone. The anxiety's gone. The motivation's here. I feel a million times better. I feel like I'm living now. Before I was in brain fog. I was barely functioning as a human. And I truly, honestly don't think this is going to shorten my life. I think everything you got to take into account. I'm down 80 pounds since my heaviest, 44 pounds on carnivore, but I lost a little bit with keto, but I'm down 80 pounds. I'm sleeping all night, which I wasn't before. I was waking up hundreds of times a night with sleep apnea, heart issues, IBS, all of these things. And nobody is just like, oh, just throw all those in the trash. We're only going to look at this LDL. Yeah, I get fired up talking about that one too. But even if I'm wrong and it kills me 10 years earlier, take it. I'll take that deal in a second.
Hey, I'll go a step further than that. I would trade my weight loss. As the depression being better is worth the high cholesterol, even if I didn't lose the weight too. If you give me the high cholesterol and the 200 pounds I lost, just to get rid of the depression, I'd take the deal, 100%. That's how I feel about cholesterol. I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, that depression is something else. But you think I'm worried about some cholesterol numbers that might hurt me down the road sometime? Like I told a lady that I was having a conversation with on Facebook. I was like, listen here, you take a statin or your cholesterol might give you a heart attack down the road sometime. I might get snatched up by a pterodactyl when I walk outside like Jurassic Park on the way to my car. Right. Like I might get snatched up by, something else, a bear walking through through my neighborhood on the way to, check the mail this afternoon. Like, come on with that. I will take the high cholesterol. because something might happen down the road that they can't prove or anything else. So cholesterol, feeling good and not having that depression is absolutely 100% worth the high cholesterol. So
I
I'm not worried about it.
yeah. I That's a powerful statement, and I totally agree with you. And if you haven't had deep, deep, deep depression, I always tell people try to be a little bit more easy or sympathetic on people because I've kind of done it too. But I remember when I had the worst, I was on every SSRI and antidepressant for
Mhm.
years. I had just horrible clinical depression. And I know, Shawn, you've had it too. You like you were saying, you just physically can't even get up. Your whole life is just miserable and ruined. And then you'd see people, family or friends, and they oftentimes they meant well, but they'd be like, you just got to go get some exercise, get some fresh air, go for a walk. You'll feel better. And it's like you don't have 1% of a clue of how bad this really is and how there's nothing you can really do about it. That's why your story is so inspirational, Shawn, because man, you came out 243 pounds lighter, but more importantly, you overcame that depression
Mhm.
and came through it. That's just amazing. I had it. My journey was a little bit easier than yours because I had some success with keto throughout the years, but it never did anything for my depression and anxiety. Keto never did that carnivore did. But I will say this: keto did a hell of a lot more than those SSRIs they gave me ever did. A million times more.
Oh
I
yeah.
finally had a little bit of relief. I tell people like the worst depression you get, it's just like you imagine the weather and the hail's just pouring down on you. You can't stand up. It's hailing so hard on you. And then when I
Mhm.
would do keto, sometimes it would just be like a bad thunderstorm. And now on carnivore, I look up in the sky. There's no hail, there's no rain, there's no snow, and there's not even a cloud in the sky.
Mhm.
That's the most amazing thing for me on carnivore. And on the anxiety side too, because man, I've said it before, but there's a lot of new people on here. I had the worst anxiety ever. Never would be talking to you, Shawn, right now. And think about what a waste that is. Now, these human connections we're making with people, yourself included, you're talking to so many awesome people.
Oh yeah.
Before carnivore, never in a million years. I said it before. I used to have calls with clients, and on my lunch break, I'm gonna do it lightly. I'm gonna crash my car into this tree, and they'll have an excuse like I don't got to go on this phone call later because I'm so anxious about it, just ruminating over and over again. All those years wasted
Mhm.
worrying about things, and if the worst scenario ever happened for those things, I'd still be fine. I probably wouldn't even remember it to this day. None of those things I worried about ever needed to be worried about. That, yeah, truly, you hit it the nail on the head, Shawn. That no depression, no anxiety on carnivore is the
Mhm.
most valuable thing I think anybody could have that's experienced depression and anxiety before. It's truly life changing.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to the Italian carnivore last night. I don't Italian gone carnivore last night, and I mean, like me and her was talking about. I tell people all the time that depression is something else. There's two things that saved my life: Jesus and carnivore diet. And if you try either one of them, I can assure you they will both change your world. They will change the direction, the trajectory of your life. And I feel like 100%. I feel like we were designed to eat a proper human diet full of good nutrition that gives us what we need. And once you start putting that in, it's going to start clearing things up. It's the tool. It's the tool that's used to give us the proper human how we were designed to eat. So I'm more than happy to take that bet with anybody who tries it.
Right?
You got depression, you've been suffering, you've given up hope. Try the proper human diet. Try carnivore for 60 to 90 days, and let's talk after those 90 days and see where you're at. You
Yep.
know, I'll take that bet with anybody.
I've got just one last thing real quick on this cholesterol thing. This is a good question, John. Thank you. I had talked about this a while back in a video, but there's so many new people here. I found this calculator online. It was like uh, how, how old you're going to live to, and it asks you 40 questions about your age, your health, your family history. Asks you all these questions. So I did a video on this a while back, but I'm like, I'm going to just fill this thing out. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm going to put all my stats in before doing carnivore because
Mm-hmm.
I keep hearing this from people, family and friends. Oh, your LDL is going to be through the roof. You're going to die. You're going to die. And you mentioned it too, but it's like people over exaggerate that so much. What if my LDL is the worst number? Like, what are the actual stats on that? It's not like tomorrow I'm going to fall over and die. It might be like take 2 years off your life. Like instead of living to 90, I live to 80, 88 or something like that. Anyhow, I did this calculator. It was really interesting. And I think it said pre-carnivore. I got to remember because it's in the video and I'm going to mess these numbers up. But it was something like I was like 72 was when I was going to die. I was like, that's pretty good considering all the issues I had. This is some calculator, so who knows? But it had a ton of stats behind it. Asked you 40 questions. Well, then I did it again with my carnivore numbers right now. But when it came to the cholesterol questions, there's a whole bunch of questions about cholesterol. I put all the worst possible numbers in. And you know what it said?
What?
72 before, 94 after. Even, and I one of the questions was, how often do you eat meat? 7 days a week. I put it all in there. Honestly, I said 7 days a week I eat meat, and I put the worst possible numbers I could in for all the cholesterol numbers. And I'm in my 90s now. And why? Why is that? Well, I lost 40 pounds. I'm sleeping better. All the other questions that it asked, I've answered them all honestly, but all of those other things you got to take into account. I'm exercising all the time now. I never exercised before. I couldn't even get out of bed before, and I'm exercising every single day now. So yeah, when people say that LDL number, it's like you don't drop dead the next day. You got to look at the whole picture.
So it's almost like I'm hearing you tell this story, and everybody knows that cholesterol is not that bad for you. Even the calculator can figure it out.
Right.
So what's wrong with the healthcare? What's wrong with the system?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how can we be so far off, man?
When I put that in there, when it said, "Oh, meat 7 days," I'm like, "Oh, I know they're gonna hit me on this one," because in their little calculator, I'm sure that's horrible. But even with that number in there, all of those other things outweighed it. Exercise, sleep, weight loss.
Years, yeah, man, that's amazing, dude. 20, you almost got 20 years just off
right.
That high.
I was like, man, I would have been happy if it on the carnivore diet, if it was like 75. Like, what is that? I think I looked on the Social Security calculator before, and that's just basically says if you're 42 years old, you're going to live to 75. It doesn't take anything else into account. I was like, oh, that's not bad. Another 30, 33 years or something. That's not bad. But well, apparently now I'm good in my 90s on carnivore. I know it's just a dumb calculator. Who knows how accurate it is, but yeah. I believe it, because if you take those other things into account and just knowing my own body and how I felt before and how horrible I felt before and how I was just sitting around doing nothing before compared to what I'm doing now, it's a million times better. It's gotta translate to something. Thrifty reseller question. Homesteadhow, are your other two triplets interested in carnivore? Yes. I'm always cautious with that because I don't want to put pressure on anybody. Emma, for example, I've said this before, but I never pressured her into quitting being a vegan and doing carnivore. I did pressure her, like, you can't keep eating this way. You need to get more protein and things like that. But my other daughter, Alyssa, she's actually on carnivore right now. I kind of didn't want to say that because I don't want to put any pressure on her, but she's not going to watch this. So she's been doing it for a couple days with myself and Emma and my other daughter, Lily. And then my daughter, Katie, who's manning the concession stand at our movie theater right now above me. She actually a couple of weeks ago, she's like, I'm going to try this carnivore thing. And I'm not, this isn't no insult to her or anything, but she did it for one day and she's like, no, I can't do it. And to credit her, I give her big credit because she, for about a year now, she was somewhat overweight. She's lost almost all of that weight for like a year, and she's been counting calories and she's been eating pretty darn clean, not carnivore clean, but she doesn't seem to have a lot of the things, everybody's different. She doesn't seem to have a lot of the issues I have. Like before this, I was mainly eating salad and greens and I had inflammation all over my body and sleep issues and everything. She seems fine with some of those things. Maybe it's because she's younger. I don't know, but she's seeing the example her sisters are setting, and she has it as an option. So there's always that. But what about you, Shawn? What about your kids? Any interests?
My daughter's tried it. We've been trying to get her on a more healthy, my kids, that's one of my biggest things, man. I regret so much not knowing about this earlier in my life and starting them out on it, eating the proper human diet. You're not addicted and you're not struggling with a lot of the stuff if you don't know, if you're not subjected to it. And now the addiction's kind of taking root in them. They like the popcorn. I can say this, there's a 2-liter soda that's been sitting over there in the floor beside the TV for probably 2.5, 3 months now. Nobody in my house drinks sodas anymore, like zero. So it's everything's moving in the right direction. My son has come around to wanting to. He's 15 and in high school and wanting to work out and take care of his body, and he's gotten to where he walks more, and he's coming around to it. My daughter's tried it. She does a lot more keto than carnivore per se. She will still take salads to school, stuff like that, and I'm happy. I'm happy that she does. Do I want her to do BBE like me? Absolutely. I feel like it would help her a lot. I'm happy that she eats a keto-ish style because it's a lot better than what she's eating on would be eating on the standard American diet. So yes, absolutely.
Right.
Things are turning around.
It's good. It's good baby steps, and it's good too because now your kids and my kids too, they have this tool. Like, if God forbid they ever end up hopeless, like you and I were, they'll at least know, hey, there's a solution that worked for Dad. Something. Yep. There's an option. The other thing I was going to say was, could you imagine, Shawn, if the next generation of kids all ate this way? Dude. What a world we would live in. I think about that. I echo your sentiments exactly. I wish I would have found this a long time ago. Big regret, like for my children, if they would have eaten this way the whole time, or even like your kids are, just eating closer to it, salads and stuff like that. And I cut out the sugar. But I heard Jordan Peterson's daughter, Michaela Peterson, she's a famous carnivore for many years. She was talking about her kids and how they're pretty much carnivore, ketovore. They don't eat all that other stuff. And she was like, I'm not bragging, but honestly, my kids are way different than all of the other kids I see where they have the terrible twos and they have the temper tantrums. She's like, my children don't ever do that. And I'm not bragging. I just honestly think it's the diet. And then when you think about it, it's like that another common sense thing that makes sense. Like if you're giving children sugar and processed garbage, which lights up their brain like a hard drug, and they're bouncing off the walls and they're not getting sleep at night because of it, you're going to have the terrible twos and you're going to have the temper tantrum. So
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And look at Dr. Barry and Nisha's son and daughter, like Bonnie and I almost said Beckett. But he's 2-3 years old, and he was already going to school. He's already taking class, learning stuff. He'll jump up in their laps a lot of time during the interviews and start chatting away and talking. I mean, it's not like what you see with a lot of other kids. He's not running around in the front yard. I mean, he's having fun. He's cutting up. But it's not like this like he's suffering from, not getting the nutrition. I mean, I wish I had known back then so I could start my kids off like that. The health and the stuff that they do their body, it dramatically different. I mean, even Bart K during our interview the other week, he said, listen, we are very good at destroying our own bodies. If we would give ourselves the proper human diet, even the scientists and stuff that put numbers out, statistics now say that we should be living to be 130 years old, but we don't because we put toxic chemicals into our body for 30 and 40 years. And then finally you come to this way of eating and look what you can do with it when you finally start giving it to yourself, Right. Makes a big difference, man.
For sure. Yeah, I was watching a Dr. Barry Nisha video and I was just thinking, I'm so happy for their children. It's interesting because I had a similar experience a while back. I we didn't go to church my whole life, but now we do. My family does now, but when I was younger, I didn't. And we've got some friends at church. In fact, they're the farmers that we get all our grass-fed beef from. They're our neighbors. And so I watched this guy, this man get married to his wife and then watch them get their kids. And this whole time we're going to church with them. And I said that to my wife. I was like, man, I wish we started our kids out because we started going to church, I think when they were like 8. We go all the time now. But I'm like, man, those kids, they're bringing them up in the church and they're bringing them up in the church school as well. Right from the beginning, kind of like Dr. Barry's kids are starting eating properly right from the beginning. Imagine if we had both of those now. Carnivore diet, church from the beginning, proper school. That'd be something.
You didn't have that problem I had. I had a drug problem when I was a kid, right? I had that drug problem. My mama drugged me to church every Sunday, every Wednesday, every Sunday night. Right. revival services during the week. I got drugged to church then too. And I feel like there's, like I said, there's two things that'll save your life: carnivore and Jesus. And I'd be happy to introduce anybody out there to either one of them. You just contact me. I'll be glad to talk with you about it. I think
Absolutely.
that's the things that can change the trajectory of this world. Not everybody. I get along with a lot of people who believe other ways, but I'll
Right.
be more than happy to introduce you to those two things. So, yeah, man, huge difference. Huge difference. We will change the world, brother. I'm crazy enough to believe that.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you.
On a lighter, funnier note, yeah, that's what it was called. So I was just going to mention the 96-ounce steak from the Great Outdoors. So Kip,
Yeah,
if you're still watching, Kip, you got to go 96 ounces, not 50. That's
yeah.
child's play. That would be a hilarious video. Like, hey, Carnivore Kip remaking the Great Outdoors scene with the 96-ounce steak. That would be awesome. I know, Kip, you got a big enough smoker. You could handle smoking up a 96-ouncer, and that'd be no problem.
I thought we was pals. You think Carnivore Kip barbecue and cast iron would invite his buddies out to have a big 96-ounce steak every once in a while. Show us what he can do with that smoker.
Are you guys close to each other? I'm not sure where you're located
No,
in
he's
reference to
in
each other.
Alabama.
Okay.
I'm in the backwoods of South Carolina.
Right.
I'm in sticks.
I want to do that so bad. Have a meetup or something. MEAT. We could have it right here at the theater. Someone mentioned that the other day. I was like, that is a wonderful idea. Obviously, it's going to be hard for you and some people to travel, but even just chatting with carnivores from Wisconsin, from my area, we could do it right at the movie theater, have it at the house. I gotta figure that out. I gotta organize that because that would be amazing. We could even maybe live stream some of it and share some of the discussions. But
I
I've
never
had
been
so
that
many.
far away.
What's that?
I've never been that far away. I've never been north of, like, I've been to Annapolis, Maryland, and like Washington D.C. I've been to Tennessee and I've been to Florida. That's the little square triangle that
Right.
I've been in. I had never been to Wisconsin. I never been west of the Mississippi.
We got to
I'm stuck right here.
Got to
The
get
bug.
you up here, get you and the whole family up here. You'd like it too because we're about a half an hour from Wisconsin Dells. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. It's a famous tourist attraction. It's the water park capital of the world, and there's lots of really cool stuff there. So that's like a half an hour away from us. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, man, that'd be a lot of fun. Have a big meetup here sometime.
When the movie goes live, man.
Yes,
When
that's the
movie
plan.
goes
That's
live.
the plan. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but just real quick because there's new people here. What Shawn was mentioning, the carnivore diet movie, that's one of my missions in life. It's family first, this movie theater that I'm running, and then the carnivore diet movie. God and family first, movie theater, carnivore diet movie, and I'm putting everything into this. So the goal is to make a documentary movie that's 100% honest, that's about the carnivore diet. And I know there's been some other series and things out there like that, and I'm love seeing those. The more, the better. I hope there's 100 carnivore diet documentaries, but I haven't seen one like this yet that follows real people for 1 year, and not just obese people. To Shawn's point, it's more important, like depression and these other things. There's a lot of people that are overweight that need that too, but of course we'll cover obesity. But I want to follow a real person for 1 year that has mental health issues, depression, anxiety, IBS, diabetes, all of the main things that so many people are suffering with. And one of the other ones that I think is really interesting, Shawn, is we got Carnivore Kip on here, aging, because everybody can relate to that. Who watching this it doesn't have some fear or thoughts or trepidation about getting old and aging, and you're getting weaker and you got arthritis and you got inflammation and you can't walk anymore and everything's slowing down. People get scared of that. And I've talked to so many folks like Carnivore Ron, Anita from Ketogenic Woman, and I'm no joke. The most comments I get are from people. I get it every single day. They're 65, 70, 75, even 80 years old, thriving on carnivore diet. It blows my mind. It's unbelievable. I can't, like, Shawn, could you imagine you're 80 years old and you're like, I've eaten the standard American diet for 80 years now. I'm going to just switch and do this crazy meat thing. I have so much respect for these people. They're like taking control and they're like, forget it. I feel miserable. I feel horrible. I'm going to do it. But everything I hear it over and over again. And like Dr. Jordan Peterson said, it's anecdotal when it's one person, but when you hear the same thing over and over and over again, it becomes a hypothesis. It becomes something you need to look into deeper. And I keep hearing from Carnivore Ron and other people, 60s, 70s, and 80s, they are thriving. They're running circles around their counterparts. And they're telling me, what they're basically telling me is, yes, getting old is hard, but it doesn't have to be as hard as it is. And the main reason that so many people are suffering when they get older is because of their nutrition. they're inflamed, they have arthritis, and they have all of these issues because their food they're eating or the food they're not eating, maybe not getting enough cholesterol. And yeah, so that's one. I'm going off on a tangent here, but that's one exciting new part of the documentary that I'm really looking forward to having a whole section just dedicated to aging and getting older. And so we set up this on the bottom of the screen, Carnivore Diet Movie. It's a website. I'm not making any money off of this. I always just want to mention that because I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I hate the fact that the world is in the situation we're in. Shawn was in his situation. I was in my situation, in large part due to companies profiting off of us being unhealthy and sick and addicted to sugar and junk and garbage food. So I'm not making any money off of this. In fact, I'm going to be spending a lot of my own money to get this together, but we have the website. There's a GoFundMe that we set up, and I think we just hit $1,500. Every penny from super chats, if people join Homesteadhow, every single penny from that, we even have Compassionate Carnivore t-shirts. Every penny goes towards the documentary movie. And so I'm going to do the best possible job we can. We're partnering with people. We've got a lot of people. Dr. Anthony Chafee, I talked to, he's interested in working on it. Dante from Frig No Freedom, Shawn from Intentional Carnivore. So this thing's going to be awesome. So sorry, I could go on forever about it, but I just wanted to mention, long story short, if you guys are interested, carnivoredietmovie.com. You can go visit. If you can't donate or anything, I totally understand. If you just want to share it, that would help immensely as well. If you just share the website with other people that might be interested in helping promote it a little bit. So
I agree. It's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait to see it come to fruition.
I got to share a little sneak peek, but I've been working on the rough draft. I've got the intro, the first section. The biggest thing is I want it to be relatable to everybody. And I can't wait to show you. I don't want to show it too soon because there's going to be iterations. I talked with a documentary filmmaker last week, Chad. He's from down south, your area. He's going to be in Wisconsin, and I said, come on over to the theater, come to the house. I'll make you a steak. And he's going to go over things with me, but he's giving me just this invaluable advice. And I've got just the first section of the documentary. We have this great hook. I think that's what's been missing from some other things I've seen out there, is just hooking people in. So yeah, I'm excited to share it and been making some good progress. And my buddy Adam, who has been volunteering his time to help as well. So more to come on that. Yeah.
It's definitely going to take a lot of hands and a lot of work. I agree 100%, but
I want to do it properly. That's the big thing. I thank you so much. There's a lot of folks on here that have submitted their video, have submitted there was a first step where you submit this form on the site. It takes a couple minutes. Now we have a video section, and I emailed everybody. If you didn't get that email, you could just go back to Carnivore Diet Movie and you can submit a video. We're asking for a 1 to 2 minute video. Just tell us, introduce yourself. Why are you interested in carnivore? That kind of thing. And so we're going through all of those, but I just wanted to mention, the last thing I wanted to mention was it's going to take a little while to get through all of this stuff. And the advice Chad gave me, which was very good advice, was he's like, do not rush this. I want to do the best job we possibly can. If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Yeah. It takes a ton of planning and iterations and rough drafts and going through things over and over again and talking to people. So it's going to take some time to get this and then to go through all of the videos, but rest assured, I'm doing everything I can to make sure this is going to be the best possible carnivore diet movie documentary you can put together. Still working on the name too, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 100%, dude. And I'll be honest with you. I'll be as honest with you and your listeners as I am with mine. If it wasn't done right, I wouldn't want my name on it. I mean, that's just as much of an opportunity as it is. I wouldn't put my name on no junk. We got a responsibility to ourselves and to all those who come after us and to all the hurting people that we're trying to reach. So, yeah, man, 100%. If we're going to do it right, or don't do it at all, because, you know, it's definitely worth it. I was reading through the comments as you were talking just a little bit. And, you know, even like Cindy, 65, in better shape than she was in her 30s. She's doing a channel. You got Susan right under her. I'm out of a wheelchair. Like, she's not in a wheelchair and she's giving the credit up. She's excited. I mean, come on now. Like I said before, man, we got a responsibility to get the message out there, not just, you know, to those who already found it, but encourage them. But their testimonies, getting those out, man, that's huge. So, yeah, we got to do it right, or, man,
absolutely
do it. So,
yep. And I want to make it clear too, like as Shawn just said, I want this to be for everybody. So that's tricky. So when you see it first, because there's some people that already know about carnivore that are already here and
Mhm.
they kind of want their own version. But we got to reach the people that don't know about it yet. So we got to find a good middle ground. And it's very tricky to do, but I'll tell you what, we're going to figure it out. We're going to do it. We're going to do it properly.
Mhm.
Um, the other last thing I wanted to say, I was just thinking about this. If you submitted the video, that's awesome. Great. One other thing, just consider doing this. You don't have to, but consider doing this. Why not start your own YouTube channel? You can even start your own YouTube channel. Just keep it for yourself. My daughter, Emma, vegan turned carnivore. She's been considering doing her own channel, but she's like, I'll just post to yours, Dad. Then because I end up editing it and doing all the work for her. But it helps you remain accountable. And it's very powerful for this documentary. Like if you're documenting your whole process from start to finish and you got it on YouTube, man, I'll follow you. I'll subscribe to anyone doing carnivore. I'll subscribe to you right now if you start a channel, just like I did for Carnivore Ron. I've been watching his videos and really enjoying them. So that's going to be so powerful for the documentary, is not only just seeing new people and following them for a year, but people that are already sharing their story and having good results, because the proof is right there. Like we can see you're good on camera, you got a great story, and you've already started documenting it so we can show people the before, middle, and after without necessarily starting from day one and then following them for a full year.
Well, I want to throw out there before you go any further a little message to Emma. I want to say, look, if you start your own YouTube channel, I'll be your first subscriber. How about that? I'm a fan because, like, listen. You don't know who you're going to impact. It might be my kids who listen to you that won't listen to their dad or to your dad. Yeah, you might be able to reach way more people than I would ever be able to reach. So,
You
100%. You start your channel, I'll be your first sub. How about that?
Absolutely. She's thought about it. They actually, her and her sisters, the triplets, they had a vlog channel for a while they were doing. But you're absolutely right. I get so many comments like that. In fact, I forgot to put my phone on vibrate when we started. I just got a text message from a gentleman. This was the coolest thing. When I did my 30-day carnivore update, someone came knocking on my door. I live out in the woods. You don't come knocking on my door. I was like,
No.
who is this guy? But then I found out he saw my 30-day video and he found out where I lived. And but the guy was really cool. And he lives right down the road from me. So I kind of got to meet my neighbor and I've become friends with him now. And he's been a carnivore. He's basically doing carnivore. He's a little bit of nuts here and there. So ketovore, carnivore, just almost carnivore. He's been doing it for a while now. And long story short, he knew my daughter Lily was doing it as well. So I got Lily and Emma, and he wants his daughter to do it. She has some of the same skin issues Emma has. And so he said, could you ask Emma if she'd be willing to talk to my daughter? And Emma, of course, said, yes, absolutely. Lily did too. So I think he was actually just texting me about that. But I've been getting so many comments from people too saying the same thing, Shawn. I want my daughters to eat more this way. I have a vegan daughter, and can you talk to her? Can you do more videos? So yeah, we'll have more with Emma for sure. She was just with her friend for a couple days. I almost had her on this live stream with us. She's at home right now, but I was like, you could just jump on the computer there and we can load you in here. But we've got a couple. She was asking me the other day, can we do another video? She was asking me on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, I did my, I think it was my 92-day update. I worked for like 10 hours on that one video from 5 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And at like 9, she was asking me like, why don't we do a video now? I'm like, oh, I would love to, but I'm editing this one I've been working on all day. I got to get this one out because I do a video every Tuesday with my carnivore update. But
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to speak to her one day because I want to tell her I'm proud of her. I don't know if she'll watch into the middle of one of these or she watches the lives or what, but I'm proud of her, man. And I mean, you could tell her. I've told you to tell her, but yeah.
Absolutely. I'll tell her again tonight. I mentioned it before and she appreciates it. We do the live streams and she gets that comment a lot that they're happy for her. They're proud of her too. And I totally am too. I cannot believe I look over, I see this kid eating a ribeye after 5 years of eating cauliflower and vegetables. And I'm even more proud of the way she's doing it too, because I would have thought if I was a vegan for 5 years and I'm going to eat a steak that's got a lot of fat on it, and I'm not used to that, I'd be pickier. I'd be cutting the fat off. She's eating it down to the bone because she's, again, the compassionate carnivore. She's like, if this animal died for me, I'm not going to waste one morsel of this food. So even like we did that little sardine thing a while ago. Let's just try. She had sardines for the first time. She ate that whole container of sardines. I'm like, you might want to save, so you're gonna get a stomach ache. But she's like, I'm not wasting anything. So
what was it? I watched. I can't remember. It was a video y'all did the other day. She had a backpack packed full of food, and you was pulling it out, looking at her stuff.
That was
I was,
hilarious. I was like, you
she
got to be
was
careful.
a
She's going
bag.
to the
Oh,
water park, Wisconsin
yeah, that's
Dells.
what it was.
I was like, she was packing her stuff, and I was watching because I did country style ribs smoked with duck fat and salt, no sauce, no rub, and those things were so delicious. And so actually my friend did that for Lily's graduation, and then I copied him and did it. I made up a huge batch. So Emma and I had these in the refrigerator, and they're
Mhm.
even good cold. And you got a little handle to hold on to. Those things were delicious. Anyway, she took a bunch of those with her. I was like, she's going to the water park all day. And that's a challenge for anyone on carnivore. Like, what are you gonna do at the water park? It's all junk food there. She's like, I'm gonna pack my own stuff. She had a little ice thing in there as well. People were asking about that, but yeah, she brought so much. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're gonna take like 4 pounds of country style ribs to the water park. You're gonna be sitting out on a chair eating country style ribs, and then she had a can of sardines, and I think she had one other thing. Maybe it was hard boiled eggs or something like that.
Yeah,
But again, I was proud of her. I'm like, this is awesome. You're eating better than all your friends. Her friends are very nice and supportive, but they're not have anything to do with carnivore. So she's
yeah.
sitting there watching her friends eat ice cream and and soda and junk food, and she's sitting there eating country style ribs, 85 degrees and humid out at the water park. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it'll change. Man, she's gonna be feeling so much better though.
She
Dude.
man, she's on day I keep forgetting 42, 43. She's
Mhm.
doing so good. She's been feeling better. And so I started the lion diet, like I mentioned, 4 days ago. And
Mhm.
I didn't just, it was like no big deal. I was like, I'm just gonna try this for a couple days. I've been feeling so good. Talking earlier about expenses and food. This is insane because again, you do carnivore, half the budget of what I was doing standard American diet. But this was a big realization on Lion because I went to the store. Normally I get stuff from my neighbor, but every now and then I'll get stuff from Costco. I went to Costco. I'm like, man, I'm saving even more money on this Lion diet. It's just steak. So I'm like, I'm going to get even the slightly nicer steak than I was getting before because when I go to Costco before, we have our own chickens, but we never have enough eggs. We go through so many eggs in my household. And so I get the eggs from Costco. I get the Kerrygold butter, which is very expensive. And I get bacon from Costco, which is very expensive. Like I'm getting none of those things now. It's like, how much more simple could this get? I'm only planning on doing lion diet till day 100, but we're going to see, man, because I am feeling so good. I felt great on carnivore. I don't know. Maybe I feel slightly better. It's the placebo or whatever, but I don't feel any worse than I did on carnivore.
Yeah.
And I was eating kind of 2 meals a day before with the eggs and stuff and then a steak, and now it's just one. So, but sorry, I'm rambling now. Emma, when I started doing lion 5 days ago, Emma's like, well, I'll do that too then. So she's been doing it with me.
What?
I
That's
like,
amazing.
you don't have, this isn't a challenge. It's like, no, it's fine. You can do it. I can do it. So she's been doing it too. She's been feeling great doing it as well. So
Well,
yeah,
that's amazing. What I found is that your body transitions. So, like if you're keto and you go to carnivore or ketovore, your body transitions to eating that way, and then from ketovore to carnivore, from carnivore to BBBE, from BBBE to the lion diet. Each transition that you make in tightening up that system, it takes a while to get used to that. Now, I've been eating BBB and E for over a year now, because I started carnivore April the 17th, and then I started BBB and E in June. Well, I've tried twice to do lion diet, and I cannot eat enough. I tried last September, and I tried at the beginning of this month. I have made it like 11 days or 3 weeks, right in that time frame is the longest both times that I made it, and I just can't do it for some reason. Like I found that I want eggs, butter. Like I even tried it and kept the butter in this time. Like I'm doing lion with butter because I knew the last time I tried it I couldn't get enough fat, and I made it 11 days and I had to have me some eggs. So I've had eggs I think 2 or 3 times so far this month,
right.
but for some reason I just can't do it. So I hope anybody, but there again, whenever I look at like Michaela Peterson, you mentioned a while ago, for example, if she didn't do didn't do the lion diet, all those autoimmune disorders that she had would literally take back over her body. She has to do it. So,
Right.
I mean, there's those balances. You definitely got to find what works for you. And I wish you the best, man. I hope maybe that's where you thrive, dude. Maybe that's where your sweet spot is.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. I always try to be careful too because I get so enthusiastic, but I'm like, it's just like you just said, everybody's different. Everybody's completely different. So, one thing though, I would say to some people, if you ever, I get this is the other, I guess it's not really a myth, but a big comment I get, like the other myths, is I'm stalled out. What do I do? And one thing I always answer this, I just put cheese question mark. It
Mm.
seems like cheese stalls a ton of people, and almost every time I'll get like 10 other comments saying, "Yep, cheese will stall you out. Stop, stop." That's one thing. But the other thing I was going to say is, if you're doing carnivore and you're doing BBBE and you're stalling out for a while, maybe give Lion Diet a try. Just see. Maybe you're like Shawn and you can't get enough, or maybe you're like me, or I can't even really say because I'm only 4 days into it. Maybe I hit day 6. I'm like, man, I got to eat something else. But it's the one thing that's happened that's so interesting is my weight loss on carnivore has been so consistent, but I got around like 182 and I was just stuck there. But I was so happy to be at 182 because I could never get to 182 on keto. No
Mm.
matter what I did. I did a 5-day water fast. I could never get that low. I was so happy to be at 182, but I was stuck there for a while. And I tell you, when I started Lion Diet,
Mm.
it just dropped. It was like the next day or 2 days later. And I'm finally down in the, I was so happy. I don't weigh myself that often, but I weighed myself and I was in the 170s. I was so happy. I don't know. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe it was Lion, but it's like, if you're doing carnivore, you could do Lion Diet, even if you just do it for a day or two. I mean, a lot of times I probably accidentally did Lion Diet when I just didn't happen to eat some, eggs and bacon that day. I probably just had a steak. I probably did Lion Diet a couple times over those last 95 days and didn't even realize it. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
maybe something to consider if anyone's out there watching and they stalled out. It's
Yeah, I mean,
fun too because you get a nice big steak and you can justify it a little bit better because you don't have to buy all that other stuff.
mhm. Oh yeah, you got to reevaluate, reassess, see what's working. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if it's not working how you need it to, tighten it up, see what happens. So, I mean, it's always good to do that. I'm gonna shout out my little girl because she's over here saying hello to everybody. I never shout her out. I'm like, I try to eh, remember that. You got your kids on here. I've been real iffy about that and thinking about those kinds of things, but I need to shout her out more. So I
Yeah.
love you, baby. Get Make sure you got your bath and get ready for bed, though.
It's awesome. Oh, we got a comment from Tina. I got to show Tina's comments. I really appreciate Tina, Jennifer, Texas Carnivore. So many people in here. Just a great community. Always leaving comments and support. Be a miracle to increase life expectancy based solely on carnivore diet change. So awesome. Yeah, I agree. That'd be amazing. Amazing world if we had a next generation, a bunch of carnivores.
Oh, I agree. Jennifer, she's awesome. She's on a bunch of the shows. Seen her before there, and they're so encouraging, man. Amber, there's so many people. I see them and I try to shout them out, and then it just the comments go by and by. But this community is absolutely the best. Carnivore Ron,
Yeah.
all of them, man.
Carnivore. This is Shawn. This is what we got to do. So when I first interviewed Carnivore Ron, he was the first person I had on my channel, even after doing all the homestead stuff. But one of the things that Carnivore Ron mentioned that really stuck with me was he was like, "Man, I would really love to go to the keto conference next year." I was like, "Yeah, that would be fun. I'd like to go to that too." Have you been to any of those, Shawn? I don't think
I
I
have
know that. No.
I haven't. I
Wouldn't
was
that be something, man? Next year, you, me, Ron, Kip, Dave.
It would be awesome. I'm planning on I'm gonna have. I know everybody's familiar with Autumn from Watch Autumn Keto. That she's done a few, she's got her own channel, obviously, but she does a lot of stuff with keto with Dr. Barry and them. She's coming on the show here pretty soon, and she's like really involved with the Keto Palooza and putting that event on. So I may even go to that. I mean, I can't keep up with all that stuff. I don't know when it
Right.
is, where it is, and stuff like that. So if you know a lot of that stuff, I'll go. Like I was talking to Ready Set Keto, James and Emily. They're the absolute sweetest people in the world, and they were talking about going to the Keto Palooza and some of those things. So, man, it'd be awesome to go hang out and talk and chat and whatever, because everybody that I've met in this community has been the absolute best. So just being able to sit down, hang out, whatever, with everybody face to face in real
Right.
life, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to do that. I'm going to look more into it. I'm going to hold you to it. We'll have to do that for sure. Shawn, how much time do you have? I tend to go on and on here. This is
I'm good.
crazy. Hour 33. Got a
I,
little bit more?
yeah, I'm good whenever, man.
Okay. I
I
got
enjoy
a little bit more. We're playing Spider-Man above my head right now. It's going to end soon. I got to help Katie clean up the mess in a little while, but I got another 10 minutes or so,
everybody
15 minutes.
like it and push the video out. Maybe we get some more right here at the end to jump in with us. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Here, maybe we'll hit one more because I've been going back and forth here. One more myth. Someone said, I don't want to do carnivore. It's not possible to gain muscle on the carnivore diet because it's so low in carbohydrates.
what? Good gracious. So you want to take that, or you want me to take that?
I will take it. There's one other good one on here. I kind of wish I said that one instead. Yeah, I totally disagree with that one. I feel like every like bodybuilder I've ever heard of, they're always like more protein, more protein, more protein. I've been exercising more, and I feel like I've been able to build muscle way quicker on carnivore than I ever have my whole life. But it's so hard to say because before I attribute everything to carnivore now. Before I was depressed and I wasn't doing anything. I was just laying around all the time.
Mhm.
But it feels like it's happening quicker than it should. So yeah, that was a weird one. Here's one other one. This is a good one. I get this one a lot too. The carnivore diet is not sustainable in the long term. They're always like, good job, Shawn. You did this for 1 year. You lost 250 pounds, but you're not going to keep that up.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that one?
Man,
Sustainability.
somebody better get better. Tell Kelly Hogan. I think she's at what 15 years or something. So
Right.
and besides that, somebody better get in a time machine and go back and tell all our ancestors because that's how they ate to get us here.
Exactly.
Oh, come on. Like, first of all, it's the proper human diet. And before, we couldn't swing through McDonald's drive through and pick that toxic stuff up and take it to the house. We couldn't stop by the grocery store on the way home, you know, 3,000 years ago. So, yeah, they had stuff. The vegetables and stuff that they were able to grow back then, is nothing like what we have, the genetically modified junk
Right.
that's even there now. But we don't need that stuff, man. So it is sustainable. If you want optimal performance, that's exactly what you're going to eat is the proper human diet. And as far as the working out with carbs, I didn't even speak to that because it's crazy. Even listen to Bart K. He says one of the worst things you can do, and I mean, what does Bart know? He's just a scientist who has expertise knowledge in exercise physiology. I mean, he talks about pouring carbs into your body and it directly prohibiting your muscles being able to heal, heal and stretch and grow and function properly and do the hard work that they're intended to do whenever they grow. So you're really just hurting yourself when you pour those carbs into your body with the muscles. So
Right.
absolutely 100%. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm at on both of those.
Yeah, I think you nailed them good. Yeah, someone said the fruit thing too. To your point, an orange nowadays is like a piece of candy. It's unrecognizable from an orange of 50, 100 years ago. It's been changed so much. But yeah, and like you're saying too, we're always in such a little bubble right here, but there's groups of people right now that eat primarily meat, and throughout history, and like you said, our ancestors throughout all the time. I always say that to people. Like, I get the vegan comments on my thing. I'm like, if you just lived on my property, I know things have changed and everything, but if you had no grocery stores and no food and nothing, and you were on my property right now, there'd be deer. That would be it. And then they're like, well, you'd forage for stuff. There's nothing. I know my property. I'm on a 20 acres. I've been there for 8 years. We get raspberries maybe 3 weeks out of the year. What are you telling? And then these people leave the comments like, no, they primarily ate vegetables and fruit. Like, what were they eating? Like, what did they do all winter time then? It's like, we get berries for like 3 weeks. It's no, they caught a big animal. They ate it. They feasted. Maybe they fasted for a week until they got another one, but that was primarily all they ate. It's just, again, going back to like why I like Dr. Barry's videos so much. Every time I listen to him say something, like, yeah, it's just kind of common sense. I guess that makes sense when you really kind of go through it and think about it in your head.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Here's a question from Jenny. How long can it take for depression and anxiety to get better on carnivore? I've been doing carnivore for 2 months, but I've still been experiencing some depression and anxiety, although less. What do you think, Shawn? You had this more than I did, because I it's hard for me to say because I wavered with the keto a little bit.
Yeah. I like for me, my personal. It's hard to put a time frame on it, honestly. As long as you just keep putting the proper nutrition in, what can be reversed, what can be fixed, will be. I mean, there's no other way around it. The only thing that stands between you and the in that is time. However, like for me personally, my story, it was about 2 to 3 months right in that time period because I started April the 17th of 2022. I made the video on my channel of me walking, and that was, I had energy, motivation. I was, out there walking for the first time, and I had just spent 3 years, just could not hardly move, make myself get off the couch except for to go to the bathroom. So it was about between 2 and 3 months right in there, where it picked up for me and I could tell a big difference. Now, I'm not going to say it was all gone. That's just one of the time frames that I have that video so I can reference and remember, because it's literally just gotten better more and more over time. Now, I remember like there will be days where even after I started walking, it was nowhere close. And what got me to first realize that my mind was changing as far as that's concerned was that like I would realize when I had a bad day. And before, it was all bad days. You didn't have a good day. So that when things started getting better, I'm like, well, today I had, it was good overall, but I had a bad day. I had some things going on, and realizing that I had a bad day, I'm like, hold up, I had a bad day today. That means, I started realizing, because it happened without me really realizing that I was coming out of it, because it was just like up and up and up and up. If that does, I hope that makes sense. But like, so just keep putting the right nutrition in, keep putting steps in place, and what can be fixed, I guarantee will be fixed. So, uh,
Right.
do some workout, push yourself, have that talk with yourself, and pray. That's a good way to help alleviate those issues too. I always recommend that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know when I did my 30-day update, I was feeling amazing. So I was starting to feel some things earlier, but it's so hard because everybody's so different and you can't go off of me because before that I was already doing keto pretty well on and off. So I think that gave me a leg up. I had
Mm.
some more time. Uh, I guess the only other thing I would add is I keep hearing this from more and more people. I don't know what your experience is, Shawn. It's been my experience. I felt amazing on day 30. And I'm like, it's not going to get any better than this. And I'm fine with that because I feel great now, but it gets
Mm.
better and better. Dr. Anthony Chafee, when I talked to him the other day, he was getting into the deep science, like, what was he saying? Like the sheathing on your nerves and stuff starts rebuilding after time. Yeah, he was getting into this deep stuff. And I'm like, wow, I mean, it all makes sense. But he just said to me, it's great you're approaching 100 days, but it's still going to just keep getting better and better as this stuff, all these other things that are going on deep inside your body that you don't think about it. I hear it from other people in the comments too, like, oh, you think that's good, just wait till you hit day 100, wait till you've been doing it for 6 months or whatever, and it just keeps getting better. So here's a
I-
comment from Cindy. I have two sons, 42, 41. They won't listen to me at all about keto, carnivore. Both are over 300 pounds and it makes me crazy. That's a tough one. I don't know what you think, Shawn. For my thing, I have this firm belief that you can never really change anybody else. So I'm always very careful. I heard Dr. Barry talk about this once. I think one of his keynotes or something. He was saying, those people that stand on the corner and they're holding the sign up and they're protesting something. Lots of younger people do that a lot. And he's like, how many times have you ever read that sign and been like, yep, I'm going to go do whatever that sign says now? He's like, it never happens. You
no.
have to the only thing you can really do is set your own example. And if they're ready, if they're at the point when they're ready to make the decision to do it for themselves, then at least they'll see their example. That's kind of what my thinking is with the carnivore diet movie. The whole theory behind the movie was at one point I was hopeless, just like Shawn was hopeless. I wish I knew about carnivore then. I wish I had somebody else's example. So the purpose of that documentary isn't to say you need to do carnivore diet. It's here's examples of people that have done it. Now, if you're hopeless and you have nothing else, at least you can see these examples and then you can take the initiative and make the decision yourself. I get you though, Cindy, because it's so tough seeing your family suffer and get worse and worse. And there's an answer for them and they don't want to do it. But yeah, I don't know what else you can do in that situation other than just share the example and not try to push them too hard, but put it out there. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Shawn?
Oh, I'm 100% agreement. You know, the I am a big advocate for living the example in front of people, not just, with carnivore, but in, my spiritual walk as well. Both of those go hand in hand to me. I don't think you could separate them, and I know that I always lose subscribers when I go to and start talking down that route, but to me, they interlock together. And, you know, I feel like that's something that we need to be an example in what we do and how we live our life. I think it's critically important to just live that out in front of people and just show them, hey, look, this is what you're gonna get. And at some point, they have to get it for themselves. You can't make them. I'm with you though. It breaks my heart to see people suffer when they don't have to, and that's what drives me too. Just like it does you with your channel and Kerry with his channel and so many of the others. We got a heart to see people helped, and that's the main message. So
Absolutely. Susan, thank you for your comments. Susan is a regular commenter. I really appreciate it.
she's a neighbor. She lives not far. She lives in the upstate right here around me somewhere.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's always got good it's kind of funny. This is how we are at the movie theater. I'm starting to learn people's names, and so people will come into the theater. I'm like, "Oh, hey, John, how's it going?" It's kind of a fun thing, and now it's happening on this carnivore site too. It's pretty awesome. Like, "Oh, there's Susan again." Susan says, "Keto has saved my life, and now I'm transitioning to carnivore." That is awesome.
Oh,
I love hearing that. And Susan, you got this. You're like a veteran because you've already done keto. It's hard to do keto when you've eaten the standard American diet your whole life. Now going from keto to carnivore, you totally got this. You're gonna be doing carnivore, and then you'll be like, "Well, I want to try this lion diet thing." Just keep transitioning it up. But that's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. I know that good things are in store for you for sure.
absolutely.
Jennifer said, I had the same drug problem, but I'm so grateful for being raised in a Christian home.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. Just so, if anyone's jumping on now, Shawn didn't really have a drug problem. His mom drug him into church all the time. So make
yeah.
that little disclosure.
Yeah, I guess that is a good one to put out there.
Right. Well, you did have a drug problem, sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we all did. I did too. Let's see. Oh man, there's so many comments in here. So what else do we got here? Yeah, if you see any that I missed, Shawn, feel free.
Oh man, that was so much. I mean, there was so many. I was trying to keep up with them for a while. There
Here's one.
was
How long does it take for aches and pains to pass? How about the saggy skin? Oh, that's a good question. I keep it's so hard to I wish I kept a better like log of all these things. It's so weird with carnivore. I keep having these epiphanies where it's like, "Oh, you know what? I don't have this elbow pain anymore." And it's things that I didn't even realize were a problem before. I keep referencing my 30-day video because that was around the time, like maybe day 25 to 30. I just started feeling amazing. But again, everybody's so different. I was doing a little bit of keto before that, so I was kind of already started a little bit that way. I
my
don't know. What are
biggest.
your thoughts, Shawn?
My thing is this: I lost 245 pounds in the last year, and I can assure you, the main thing is get to the saggy skin. That's the message I want to put out there because I spend a lot of time. I get asked that question a lot, and I'm like, get to the saggy skin. I can assure you that you will trade this. Even what I have, I would trade this for the dragging the 245 pounds and the diabetes and the depression and all the things around. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense, get to the saggy skin, and I promise you, you're not going to care nearly as much about it when you get there as you are whenever you start out, my friend. It's going to make a huge difference. I don't know, honestly. Either have surgery or do some fasting and autophagy to try and working out. Do which is one of the things that I'm moving in to the phase that I'm moving into now. I try not to do a lot of working out until I got closer to my ideal goal weight of 190. And then, but that's where I'm headed. That's how I'm moving, and that's the direction I'm going. I'm having Coach Bronson on the show tomorrow night, and he's the coach, and there's a good reason for it. He's motivating, he's inspiring, and I want to get some pointers from him because I need them, not just for everybody else, but I'm learning too, and I'm going out there too. So, I'm definitely going to be hitting him up for some answers for some workout.
Right.
Because that's where I'm at. But I'll take the skin. I got it though. I can assure you. I don't know. You can see it hanging under my arm
Yep.
and stomach and stuff.
I'm feeling way better, but yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I was in the car the other day, put my hand out the window. I was like, "Oh, what's that?"
Right? I'm like, what is that?
It's like for me, I'm like, I'm fine with it. Great. It's like a trophy or something.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I don't want to discount it because I know that there are some, a lot of people who worry about it and kind of want to know, and I thought about it all the way up to now, and I can assure you, take it from my testimony and research it for yourself. I assure you, it's worth it. It's worth
Right.
it.
Jennifer said, I wish I had the money to fund the whole movie. I appreciate that. Yeah. And like I said, if you guys can't give money, I totally get it. If you just share it, that helps a great deal. But we're going to get it done either way because honestly, I don't think we're going to be able to raise the money that's going to be needed to do it. But we're going to figure it out and we're going to get it done. Like if I have to shoestring it together. And Shawn and I were talking before, I'm like, man, we got some good stuff already with some of the videos that I've done in the past with some of the excerpts from the different carnivore specialists and things like that. But we're gonna get it done for sure.
Mhm.
Oh, here's one other question from Aunt Bling. Would you consider including special interviews in your movie with seasoned carnivores along with people that you're following for a year? Absolutely. Yeah. One other thing too, I always say this isn't my carnivore movie, it's our carnivore movie. So I'm open to any and all ideas. One thing I really want to get across, which we would with your suggestion here, is just I think there's a lot of carnivores in the closet. It's like
Mhm.
we were saying earlier, Carnivore Ron just mentioned too how many people are on his channel that are doing carnivore. I think there's a lot more people out there, and I want to show kind of the scale. I think PR Mike, he might be on here now. He left the suggestion earlier. It was a great one. Show the scale. Like if you could have a whole room and all these people are carnivores, like I almost imagine like Shawn saying, and I'm a carnivore, and then Dr. Barry saying, and I'm a carnivore, and then this person saying, and I'm a carnivore, and then you have like a grid of like hundreds of people that are all carnivores, and it's like that's an example. Like this is working for people from all walks of life, an older person, a younger person, former vegan child, teenager. It's working for her to really show that scale. So yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely open to show some seasoned carnivores. I think that'll show a good example for people that have been doing it for even longer. Like Shawn was saying, Dr. Chafee too. I mean, that guy, he quit a little bit, but almost 10 years, 5 years, and then a little bit off, and then 5 more years. Shows some seasoned people on there. And when you look at Dr. Chafee, you're like, man, this guy is just in the best shape ever. It's hard to argue. Like, whatever he's doing, that man's doing something right. It was
Oh,
funny. My wife Jen walked in the room the other day. I was watching one of Dr. Chafee's videos, and she's like, "Oh, who's that?" You know, he's kind of a nice looking guy. And I was like, "Yeah, guess how?" I said, "He's a carnivore. He's a neurosurgeon resident." But I'm like, "Guess how old he is?" She's like,
yeah.
35, 40. I'm like, "He's 80 years old." I was like, just joking, but I'm like, dude, he's probably gonna look that good when he's 80 years old because he is just thriving.
Well, I mean, he played rugby for 10 years. I mean, this guy, man, his Chafee's awesome, man, and he's so super
Yeah,
smart. So
yeah.
he's gonna be on Friday night, man. We got it's lined up, dude. I'm
You
telling you.
got the lineup. Yeah,
It's,
subscribe to Shawn's channel. He's got everyone on there, man. That's gonna be great.
and that's part of the story, bro. Because like this couch right here, guys. Like seriously, you see this couch right here? Like that couch, that's the couch I laid on for 3 years. Couldn't move, couldn't get up, couldn't take a shower, couldn't hardly watch myself without being out of breath. I'm getting to talk to Anthony Chafee on Friday. I'm getting to talk to Kerry Mann Jr. on Wednesday. I'm talking to Coach Bronson. I talked to Ken Berry, like the people at the top of the carnivore who are really helping people in this world in many, many ways. So, and if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. You can be the next guy sitting here talking to Kerry. You can be the next gal sitting here talking to Kerry. Like it can literally change your life. But you got to take day one. You got to take one step. Get out there, push through the naysayers, push through those who are opposing everything, who don't have anything nice and only want to be negative, only want to put you down, only want to hold you back. Push through all that. Push through the diarrhea and the sickness you feel. Push through the headaches and the hard times. Find the answers and don't ever let anything stop you. You don't have to continue living that way anymore. You don't have to stay like that. You can push through and you can overcome. And that's my message, and that's what I'll take it to the world, man. You know.
Awesome, man. That's so good. Yeah, someone just said preach it. Absolutely. I, the hardest thing about going carnivore is just you and making the decision and breaking through, like Shawn just said. It's so hard to believe, but am I wrong? Like
Yeah.
carnivore isn't hard. That
Mm-mm.
first couple days can be hard, and you got to break through those things. But it's not as everyone I know that's on carnivore. I've talked to so many people now. They all
Mm-hmm.
thought it would be impossible. And there's no way I can only eat meat, myself included. This is insane. There's no way I'm going to just eat meat. First couple days are a little bit hard, but the hardest thing is to make the decision and break through, like Shawn just said. And you got everyone telling you, and everything you've ever heard is you got to eat vegetables. Meat's going to kill you. You getting through and making that decision is the hardest part of carnivore. The rest of it's easy. It's like, in retrospect, go ask my daughter Emma, go ask other carnivores. Once you get into ketosis, if you're doing this, it's the easiest thing in the world. You don't have to think about food anymore. It's just amazing. That's a good note to kind of end this on, because we got to kind of wrap this up. I hate to shut it down, but I got one more question for Shawn. I was just thinking about this.
Uh-oh.
Could you imagine you're sitting on your couch now?
Mm-hmm.
What has it been? A little over a year?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you could look a year into the future and see where you are now and what you're doing now and what you've done with your life and how you've transformed things. Man, I'm tearing up right now just thinking about that thought. If you have a little crystal ball and you could look forward, could you ever imagine, Shawn? 243 pounds, like you said, you don't even care about that. Depression gone, relationships with your family. You're talking to Dr. Anthony Chaffee. You got Dr. Barry on your channel. You're changing people's lives. You're motivating people. As someone just said in the comments, preach on. You are inspiring people. Could you ever imagine that you'd be doing this right now, like a little over a year later, from that same very couch?
Dude, look, I couldn't imagine 5 minutes from any given moment a year and a half ago. I didn't care. I lost hope. It didn't matter to me. I didn't want to see tomorrow. If things hadn't to change, there's a real good possibility that I wouldn't be here today talking with you,
No, sorry.
honestly. I mean, that's just the point that I'm not proud of it. I'm not, it's hard to even talk about a lot of times, man. But like, I just didn't care anymore. I didn't want to live. I didn't say, I had a great family, great kids. I still believed in Christ, all the things, but I had just lost hope, and I felt so bad and so defeated all the time. I just couldn't see past the next 5 minutes, the next day, the next hour. But I feel like I was led to the carnivore diet by one way or the other, and it was the proper human diet, and the relationship that I have in my faith between those two things. You know, my life completely and utterly got transformed, and look, I couldn't imagine being where I am today. And it's extremely humbling because there's plenty of people that deserve the blessings that I've been given a lot more than I do. But I am extremely grateful. I'm extremely thankful for the opportunities that I have. I'm so encouraged by each and every person that comments on the channel and says, how much it means to them and how it's helped them and stuff like that. I mean, when I say the comments that I leave about you, it meaning a lot to me. It does mean a lot to me. I'm not just saying that to build a YouTube channel. I didn't even want to start a YouTube channel. I feel like I've been led to start a YouTube channel to share my testimony and share my mission and message with those who need it. And that's 100% what it's all about. And, so I love to not keep rambling and just bring it back around, brother. I'm extremely humbled and I'm extremely thankful. And there's no way in the world I could have in a million years predicted or mentioned that this is where I would be a year ago from now. And so I feel like it's a huge responsibility, and I take it very seriously, and I try to do the best job I can, with what I've been blessed with, and give God the glory for it, and show thanks and love to all people, whether we agree or not. I feel like I can be representative of the things that I believe and the ideas that I have by doing that. So that's just where I'm at. And thank you for having me on here tonight to speak to your guys. And it's always a pleasure to be able to talk with you. I really believe that we can change the world. I believe that the best is absolutely yet to come. And I want to see this movie, man. I want to see it happen, not just because I think it's a great opportunity for me, but I think in you as well. But I know that there's going to be people that see it that are in the place where we were, and you can't overstate that, man.
So it's like you said, if we can help one person that is in that hopeless place that we were in at one time, it'll all be worth it. But I'm proud of you. I can't, it's just unbelievable what you've done, getting through the depression, 250 pounds. More people, I said this to you when we spoke before. I'm going to say it one more time and then we got to end this, but more people need to hear your story and be inspired by you. And you're just killing it, man. I'm so happy for you. I've been talking to, I talked to Shawn earlier on the phone today, and I'm like, after I got done, I'm like, could you imagine ever having this much energy that you have right now before Carnivore? And you're doing it all for a good purpose, but you're just killing it. You got a great lineup on your channel. So again, if anyone's new here and they're not familiar with Shawn's story, go subscribe. Intentional Carnivore Shawn, man, has got some great videos over there, and I'm really looking forward to sharing your story in the carnivore diet documentary. More people need to hear your story. It's just I always laugh when I think about it, but it's unbelievable. If we make a whole movie about Shawn's story, people are going to walk out and say this is fake. There's no way this guy lost 250 pounds in 1 year, got out of depression and everything else. Right. Sitting on that same couch right now, you've completely transformed your life. You said, I'm the captain of the ship. I'm taking control. And you did it through everything. It had to be like the hardest thing in the world to do with the depression and with the amount of weight you had to lose. And here you are now, just not even over a year later, and just thriving, man. It's impressive. I'm so happy to know you, and I'm so happy we get to do this. And I'm really looking forward to working with you more on the documentary. So let's leave it at that. Check out Shawn's channel. Oh, let me post it up here one more time. You all know what it is, but put it on here. It's Intentional Carnivore on YouTube. Subscribe to Shawn's channel. It's amazing. He's doing some really good work over there. And thank you, everyone, for all your questions, support. We love the carnivore community, and have a good night.
Absolutely. Good night, guys.